Well, here's a video I kind of planned on having up and released and all that a couple of weeks ago, but well, I've had some misadventures along the way, which kind of prevented that. I'll probably get to those, maybe not in the next video, but maybe one in the near future. Because there's a couple of things I want to talk about in this one and, the next one that, are, because it's kind of a current events thing that, excuse me, but it's kind of a current events thing that, kind of needs to, talking about while it's still somewhat relevant. But before we get to, um, the actual topics for this video, going to start with the coffee because this is a coffee time video. This is the Shopko Market 100% Arabica Premium Blend that I had intended to have done by, just look at my, still got my calendar in my computer room set to May. This was one that I had intended to have done before the 19th, which was a couple of weeks ago now, but like I said, I had stuff going on and just didn't get to it in time. But I'm going to give this a try and finally and see what it's like. And this specifically does kind of tie into one of the topics I'll be getting to once I've actually covered this. But anyway, this, the grounds here actually look a little darker than I thought they would be. But as you can tell, this is not exactly the best looking package ever. I've actually folded this over a couple of times since I opened it. But and then it's one of those things where it looks like your fairly typical cup of coffee coming out of the Mr. Coffee I've got in the other room. But I was expecting this to be a little darker too, because I was using dark grounds, and I always set my coffee pot to strong brew. But I'm kind of wondering just what I'm getting into here, because this looks like a fairly standardized thing here, where they filled it up and then slapped a sticker on the front. But there's like a printed UPC or barcode on the back here, so I'm not sure what I'm getting here, but I'll have to give it a shot. Like I was saying, this looks like your fairly typical cup of coffee. So I'll give it a try here. Well, it's probably not going to be much of a surprise to hear me say this, but I think the McDonald's brand, the same thing I was doing the last time I cracked one of these things open was better. But that's really no surprise, because the McDonald's brand is kind of a higher end thing than your Shopko brand. And well, like I was saying, I had hoped to have this done before the middle of last month, because as far as I know, both Shopkos here in town are closed, and I'm really not sure how many are left in the area now. Since it's one of those things where I've heard, from what I've heard, pretty much the whole chain is going down. But yeah, there's so I'll have to see where all that goes from here. But as far as what the rest of the video is going to be about, got three things I want to talk about, and the middle one's probably going to be the long one. First, I've got a programming note about JM Tries. It's been a while since I've done one of those, and I'll explain why it's probably still going to be a while before I get to one again. Then I want to talk about this whole shooting in Virginia Beach, Virginia, while it's still kind of a current event. And then going to wrap things up with with a viewer question, or something I read in a comment to one of the previous videos here. But that'll be at the end of the video here. But like I was saying, I'm going to start with a programming note about JM Tries. If it's not clear by now, I'm just going to say that, officially I'm going to put that series on, hiatus or a season break or whatever for I don't know how long, because, well, truth is, I've got some serious weight issues going on here, and, I kind of need to, I'm at a point where it's not going up, but, which is a good thing, but what I need to do is actually start making it better by getting it to go down, because, even though you can see my, unshaven face here, but, even then you can tell I'm, not exactly the thinnest fella ever, and I kind of need to get to work on that, because it's, making a mess of my heart and lungs, and, well, my legs would be fucked up even if I wasn't even if I was in good shape. So, I kind of need to do something to keep that from getting worse. And, so that means I'm gonna, want to get out and try to eat less, exercise more, walk places if and when I can, that sort of thing. And that's gonna actually tie into the thing I'm gonna get to at the end of the video here. But anyway, since I I hope I've made it clear anyway that JM Tries is going to be on hiatus for a while. It's time to move on to the next thing here. Now one thing that's been making national news here lately is that it's this whole mass shooting in Virginia Beach, Virginia. I'm going to try to be brief about this because, I'm shooting this. It's at 11:45 on a Sunday night, and I have work tomorrow. My upstairs neighbors probably have work tomorrow. I don't want to go on too long because of all of that, but I do have things to say. So I'm going to try to make this brief, and then, try to come back on, Tuesday and make a somewhat longer video about it. But, on Friday we had another mass shooting here in the good old US of A. In this case, it was I guess he was a former city engineer in Virginia Beach, Virginia, who, from what I understand, he emailed in his resignation at some point on Friday, and then towards the end of the workday, he, went into the office with I guess I'm not going to, no, I actually read an article on it today, and I think it was Washington Post that said he went in with, a pair of, 45s with, magazines on them, so they were semi-automatic pistols, and he, when he pulled in there, he, got out of the truck and, just plugged some guy who was, going in to, file for a permit or a report or something. Then on his way into the, building, he just, shot another random person, this time just some lady that was coming out of the building. Then he went into his office and started open fire. He started to open fire on his former coworkers, and so now there's, I guess, it's either 12 or 13 people dead because of this. The headlines I saw say 12. And I'm not sure if that includes the gunman, because I guess the police got him too, and he keeled over on the way to the hospital. But excuse me. I mean, that's right there is why I want to try to keep this short. I don't necessarily want to keep coughing like that and wake people up. Plus, it kind of screws up the video. But anyway, there's at least 12 people dead because of this, and it's another office shooting, and this keeps happening. I'm hoping that between when I'm shooting this video and when I can actually get to the next one, they'll because like I said, he resigned earlier in the day, and from what I understand, he emailed in his resignation at some point during the day. I think a few hours before it happened, and they know somehow that he did this, but they say they can't find the letter. I'm hoping they do, just so they can release the contents of that, so that those of us in the public can have some idea of why he did what he did. Because I would hope that since these two things happened in such close proximity, there's something that explain why in that resignation letter. But really, part of the reason I want to talk about this more at length is because they're telling us, especially because in this case they are telling us about that letter. I've come to the conclusion that there's always some reason, someplace, in the greater circle of things here, as to why all this happens. And maybe we can use that information to keep it from happening as often as it seems to. Because, well, I'm a working person myself, as you can see by this, pretty red work shirt I'm wearing. I'd, kind of like to know, what the rest of us can do to, keep from triggering the jackass with the, the 45s or the AR-15 or whatever. Simply because I, am quite clearly someone that has more than his fair share of preventable death hanging over him. And, I'd like to, not remove, more of it than just what's hanging over me because of my weight and health issues. So if we can prevent, from places like, the city engineer's office, or, the neighborhood Wendy's or whatever, from getting shot up, hey, let's do it, okay? But like I said, I'm going to try to get more into that, and I have, more time, which I'm hoping to get to on Tuesday night, since I usually get off around 5 on Tuesdays and then have Wednesdays off. So I'll try to get into that more then, and hopefully by then I'll, have one of the specialty mugs instead of just this nice old jelly jar that I use to drink from when I'm trying to show the beverage and not the, other thing. But anyway, to wrap things up here, I want to say it was my last video. I think it was. Or it was one of my more recent videos anyway. I got a question, from, well, you'll forgive me if I forget who. I, kind of lost that in my notes and comments and all of that. So, but anyway, the question was, what's my favorite dollar store? Well, to be quite honest, I don't think I have a favorite because, well, I'm actually doing well enough for myself, all things considered, that I can pretty much, avoid places like Walmart or, dollar stores and places like that, if I want to. So I don't really have a favorite one. That said, there are a couple I can go to and might actually go to on a regular basis, depending on, what the, lifestyle changes I made, like I was wind up making, like I was talking about at the beginning of the video here. Like there's a for ones I might choose. There is a Dollar Tree that, well, I mean, it should be in walking distance for someone my age. And I'd like to think that would be me too, but I'm really not in shape to walk the, let's see, I guess that'd be 7 or 8 blocks down to the, it's a Dollar Tree, I think it is. No, actually, I'm pretty sure it is a Dollar Tree because I, drive past it when I'm going to and from work every day. It's right at a major intersection, and it's close enough that I could and really should be able to walk it if I really want to. I've been in there a couple of times. Looks like there's some interesting stuff in there. And then, amongst the lifestyle changes that I'm trying to, make is, one thing that might help me, get myself back into a little better shape, or at least not eat so much, is to, go visit my grandmother, while she's still around and, living in her own house. She's got her own favorite dollar store too. It's a Dollar General. Was just in there with her a couple of weeks ago, and I probably should have been, filming this vid, or I'm not going to say I should have been. What I should have been doing was hanging out with my grandmother, like I was doing that particular day. Went in there and, looked around, helped her pick up some stuff because she, was actually feeling pretty good for, for an 88-year-old lady with a bad heart. So we went and looked around and, picked some stuff up, and then got lunch at the, there's a grocery store across the street that has the, the lunch counter there, and we got our stuff and, went back there. And then, as far as the last one I bought anything at, there was a one called Loopy's over by my folks' house, but that's been, at least a dozen years, probably a little more than that, because I was only ever in there a couple of times, and it was before I moved into this apartment, which was spring of 2006. So, but Loopy's has since closed and been turned into I think it's an antique store, which is really the kind of place I don't go. But the reason I generally don't visit dollar stores or visit dollar stores very often is because, well, like I said, I like to think I'm doing, well enough for myself that I can actually afford the more name brand stuff at places like the grocery store, or there's a a somewhat more local version of Shopko where I picked this up called Lewis that actually has better stuff from what I can tell. Because I actually have had bad, if indirect, experiences with dollar store stuff. Because and I'm not necessarily blaming anybody for this, but this was not long after I'd moved in here. I think I'd been here about a year. And my mom decided she'd be a good sport and come in and clean the place for me. So what she did is she went to the Dollar Tree, which is the few blocks from here, and bought this. It was this cleaning solution that if you know that synthetic grape scent that I mean, see, when I moved in here, there were people who, like, between the two of them, I think they must have like smoked a case a day between the two of them, and but naturally the place just stunk of cigarette smoke. But the cleaning solution my mom bought was that synthetic grape scent, and swear to God, for as bad as the cigarette smoke smell in here was, swear to God that grape scent was actually worse. So bad that I can pretty much remember it here. A dozen years later. And I appreciate my mom's attempt to try and clean, do all of this for me, but it's one of those things where you know I think if I'm gonna do that, if I'm gonna buy my own cleaner solution like that, I'm gonna go with like Pine Sol or Mr. Clean or something, which does a usually a somewhat better job, and doesn't doesn't have an overbearing scent to it like that. So that's kind of why I avoid dollar stores when I can. But that said, I think once I get myself more into shape where I can actually walk the Dollar Tree again, um, assuming I'm still living here, and when I get to that point, that's actually one of the few places I might actually go when I'm ready to bring JM Tries back, because they have they had stuff that looks like it would be good to try out. Not only there, and at Dollar General, but there's also another more local grocery store chain called it's called Sunshine, that there's one of here in town. That has some. Well, I guess I shouldn't say it has. It had the last time I was in there. This these like they're little plastic barrel shaped things that had the various flavors of fruit drinks in them that I remember being good as a kid. But I haven't been in there in a couple of years either. But since I've got some rather major road construction going on here in town, I'll have ample chance to go to Sunshine again. Over the next couple of years. So and then there's, and like I was saying before, there's that Lewis Drug, which is probably going to be once I think I'm doing well enough to walk there. I think I'll bring it back, or bring JM Tries back, but even that might be a while. But I'll keep you updated on that. And I think that's all I've got to talk about for now. So I think I'll wrap this up now, and I'll say that the plan anyway is to see you Tuesday night or Tuesday evening or Tuesday night with more thoughts on that Virginia Beach shooting, and excuse me, more thoughts on the Virginia Beach shooting, that is, and the first of the specialty mugs that I have been meaning to talk about for a while now too. So anyway, I will hopefully have another video for you Tuesday. But either way, I'll see you when I see you, and have a good day or two, folks. I'll talk to you later. Bye.